When Shedeur was working out with the fourth-string center after the missed snaps, and he said, if you look me in my eye and tell me you're doing your best, then hey, I just got to believe you because I'm doing my best. You're going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. That's the healthy attitude. I'm not finna argue with you out here. I'm not finna spend my time and my mental energy trying to figure out if you're trying to set me up. I have been here before. So if you say that you're doing your best, then that's what it is. So we're going to stay here lately. We're going to stay here after work and we're going to work it out. And then here comes Myles Garrett. People saw that and I think they were like, oh. I noticed they trying to make Myles again, pitting a black person against a black person. What did Andrew Berry say? The quarterback is the most important person on the team, but you want Myles Garrett to be that guy. So you're going to pit black Myles Garrett against black Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur needs to get the hell out of Cleveland. They're doing things that we can't see. They're going to get desperate. They're going to get desperate. It was desperation that likely got Tyrod Taylor poked in the lung doing a routine injection for pain. They also said Tyrod Taylor's his ribs were broken when he was with the Giants. Some tell me they didn't draft him. Didn't somebody just say they have never drafted a black QB? I don't think they've ever drafted a black QB. There you go. So Louis Riddick is right, and it's got to be the best hire that Stephen A. Smith has ever made because he is standing on their heads, and the rest of them have followed suit. The rest of them have followed suit to the point where Cleveland media feels insulted. They trying to rally around Barry, sending Albert Breer and all these other talking heads onto like the Rich Eisen show, the Dan Patrick show. Don't nobody care what y'all got to say. We see for ourselves. All Haslam did was confirm that the culture came from the top and his good little boys were just carrying out his orders. As for the relationship with Pat Schumer and Stefanski, something's not right there. The relationship is Stefanski worked for Schumer and was in Minnesota. And then after he left Minnesota, Stefanski tried to get Schumer a job in New York. No, Schumer tried to get Stefanski a job in New York, but the Giants blocked the interview. They didn't want Stefanski. But it tells you the professional relationship is Schumer is the guy up here and Stefanski is the guy here, and he gets him in. He's the one that gets Stefanski everywhere. Stefanski running the same offense as Schumer, even though Colorado didn't have much of a running game. They say Stefanski wants to go with a run-heavy game, which again would keep Shedeur from shining. They don't want him throwing these long bombs. Just get rid of the ball. Just get rid of the ball. Stop drifting backwards out the pocket. They're trying to break his skill set. They're trying to dumb him down so he doesn't shine. It's all about suppressing his talent. It's all about keeping him from the media, doing OTAs, not having first team reps so we don't see him shine. The players have already said, there are players that have reportedly said, we want to run with him. I don't know how true that is, but supposedly 2 players have said it. I don't believe it though. These guys scared to breathe, and that's exactly what the NFL wants them. Myles Garrett is the only one. He walked up voluntarily to help with Shedeur. So when Shedeur was talking to Myles Garrett, and I told y'all I didn't understand their conversation, when he was like, hey, baby, what's up? And Shedeur was like, something about doing some reps or something. He said, oh, okay. He said, you want me to rush? I didn't know what he meant. He meant pass rush. I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't know if that happened before they stayed late and Myles Garrett came over to help, but somebody was mic'd up or somebody's camera has damn good audio that they picked it up from across the field. Whenever Shedeur is talking to any veterans, they are looking at these veterans. But Myles Garrett is like, you ain't going to do nothing to me. And he's right. Where's Njoku? When was the last time you saw him talking to Shedeur? Hopefully recently. Because it should be Njoku and Harold Fanning Jr., the guys he connected with, but they haven't let him do that yet. They already know he's going to be good. Remember, he's going to outproduce his draft stock. They know this. They intentionally holding him back, and Haslam told you why. They didn't want him. He wasn't available. They didn't draft him. So the mystery continues. Well, how the hell did you get him? And why? That's the mystery. That's the part we have yet to solve. And Shadeur probably gonna be there till we solve it. And it's probably gonna come sooner than you realize. Is Schumer a snake at CU? I didn't think so. I don't think Schumer spoke well as Shadeur. No, he said something. People said there was a press conference. And he said something about Shadeur was comparable to Daniel Jones. I'm like, what? I'm like, well, there has never ever been a good comparison for a QB. Why would you say that? Now, remember when, let's see if I can find it while I'm talking. Remember when I did all the videos where I had up the screenshot with the different color Sharpie markers on it, and it was from the anonymous coach? Remember that? Does anybody remember that? Okay, on that, I know what it is. On that screenshot, hold on, draft day. I have a folder called draft day. On that particular screenshot, I noticed that, let's see. I noticed that the guy who was talking, the anonymous assistant. Now, this is an assistant. I was like, you don't have no power, so you just shut up because ain't nobody talking to you no way. An assistant ran around and said a lot of things, right? Well, I noticed the assistant said two things. He calls his own plays. How you know that? And nobody cares who your daddy is. So people were upset that Shedeur called his own plays. How do they know that? And people felt like he was privileged because of his dad, kind of like the Mannings. But people have already said they're not the Mannings. That's that Jim Crow I was talking about. Colored only. Whites only can do certain things in NFL because they don't respect black people. Race norming. Prove me wrong. They supposedly stopped practicing race norming in 2021, but in the 2025 draft and in the 2025 training, it seems like it's alive and well. So $1 billion settlement wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So I noticed that's what the guy said that stuck out in my mind. I also read online, it says the NFL allowed these anonymous sources to trash Shedeur. It used different verbiage, but it's basically saying the same thing. The NFL allowed these anonymous sources. It said the NFL allowed these anonymous sources to trash Shedeur. So that means the NFL that gave out Shedeur Sanders' phone number allowed the Giants to defame him. Allowed, who remembers me saying, it was reported today that the Browns draft strategy has been approved. Adam Schefter reported that. And my thing was, why does they draft strategy have to be approved? Do they think they GM is slow or something? So that draft strategy was approved at one point. I have to go back. It's on Adam Schefter's page. I'm sure I can still find it. So that draft strategy was approved. I don't know if that was when they was with Shedeur or when they pivoted to Dillon, but it was approved. So the NFL let people run around and trash Shedeur. It's reported. It's documented. People know this. Even Saban said it's disgusting how people are allowed to run around and spread false narratives. That's called defamation. That's what Mike Tomlin meant when he said there were these phone calls and we had to listen to these phone calls. And then the other guy was still there, so we took him. There were people, owners, players like Aaron Rodgers and others, blocking Shedeur, coaches, Pete Carroll, taking Geno Smith with a 3rd round pick, taking Cam Miller from North Dakota State, not Shedeur Sanders, 1st overall pick from Colorado. Best QB in the draft. Most NFL-ready QB in the draft. It's going to be one hell of an interesting season. A lot of people were to block Shedeur. A lot. Some just because that's what they saw other people doing. And they was jealous, so they just joined in. But the most egregious came from the NFL itself, which is why nobody can draft Shedeur. And when I say the NFL, I mean the owners. Because Roger Goodell didn't take him off the board. The owners did. So when you say the NFL, that's who you're talking about. But the power structure is the league. The league is supposed to be a nonprofit. So if you sue it, I don't know what you're going to get. That's why the owners are shielded by GMs and the management council. So you can't get to them. But that usually works for arbitration. We're going to see what happens in a court of law because everything is playing out publicly. Most of these things, like their NFL red zone case, that played out privately. It says CP's grandson Snow looks like he was born for speed already. People saying he need to get him on the track. Was that you, Wild Dog? I think so. Myles Garrett is a good dude. He can't help himself. Oh, well, that's good to hear. That's I don't know them, so I didn't really care what I saw from Jerry Jeudy. But I get it now when somebody gave me some cultural background. Felista Miller, I remember that press conference. Yeah, Schumer said that. And again, what did I say happened today? Did anybody have a chance to Google it? Okay, so see, I was of the opinion. I started to wonder if Coach Prime was slow to come back to see you. We talked about it. I said, did somebody up there do something they have no business and stab this kid in the back and Coach Prime too? But then we found out about the surgery, so it just seems like no, right? But I remember Coach Prime saying, I hope Byron Leftwich does the right thing, right? And then in comes Byron Leftwich. Yesterday we have a conversation about his title, offensive analyst. Somebody even said it on X. Byron Leftwich ain't coming to see you just to be no offensive analyst. And I said, wait a minute, that's what Pat Schumer was. I said that's what Pat Schumer was. I said the other guy was on the way out. They had to find somewhere else for him to go. That's what I said. Because it was a new contract and they didn't want to pay him. And Prime, you hired him, you got to fix that. And people was hating on Coach Prime anyway. So he magically gets a job. And then Pat Schumer is elevated from offensive analyst to offensive coordinator. And one of the things Coach Prime said is he liked Schumer's relationship with Shedeur. He listens, they respect each other, they work together. In other words, it's not just the OC barking out orders to a player. It's a player also having input, which again is what people were dragging Shedeur for. He had the ability to call his plays. Coach Prime called his own plays as a QB in high school. It did sound foreign, like, okay, and so there were people who were upset that Shedeur had decision-making ability. It said because of his daddy. So then the guy said, anonymous assistant coach, and nobody cares who your daddy is. And when you get inside of a real NFL locker room, it's going to be a culture shock. The locker room loves Shedeur. The ones that let on. You even had a player's wife to speak up and call him a hero. The NFL has underestimated this situation. They like the Cleveland fans going to show up anyway. That's why they getting a new stadium somewhere else. Oh, they going to love it. They're going to come out there. We don't need Shedeur. They don't want to admit that he can help make them better because of who he is, not a Sanders. I don't want you. I don't want to win with you. Have they ever won with a black quarterback? They've had several. Look at how their careers are gone. The longer Shedeur is there, the more people going to talk. I think a trade, they going to force a trade on them. They're not going to have a choice because Haslam messed up. The owners do everything together, incestuously close. The media going in, Cleveland trying to save him. It ain't working. So now the owner's going to be like, look, we got to fix this. You our dude and all, but we can't have everybody coming our way because, we don't want to be dragged down in it. So we're going to have to take Shedeur from you. And we're going to have to put him somewhere else. Because he basically opened the door, which exposes the collusion. Of course you wasn't going to get him because y'all had taken him off the board at some point. He was locked out of the first round. Whose idea was that? They don't want to talk about that. Why was he locked out the first round? Talking about they didn't have a first round score on him. A guy went on Pac-Man Jones podcast and said, yes, he did because I gave him one. See, they lie thinking that we're not going to know. They're not sophisticated. They do stuff to Shedeur on the field and think it's not going to get out. Somebody has a pen with audio and possibly video. Just mark my words. Well, the teams were all there to scout Hunter. All the other medias they took were secondary. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, they scouted Shedeur though. Shedeur was scouted heavily. Look at the scouting reports online, including by the NFL. In fact, the guy that did the scouting report for the NFL on the NFL site actually says if Shedeur does not get drafted in the first round, it's going to be a problem. It's a problem. They didn't listen. They didn't listen to the people that they pay to give them advice. Shadeur is listed as a first round projected draft pick by the NFL itself. It was still on their website last time I checked. Shadeur's coach would ask him sometimes, what does he see? Right. Because I remember Travis Hunter saying, what? Travis Hunter said it. The DC will ask them, what do you see? Because he said it, because y'all are out there. What do y'all see? I saw a good relationship on the sideline. I saw Shedeur, Travis, all of them huddle around. Pat Schumer, I don't know, maybe I saw the wide receiver coach? I remember Shermer trying to calm Shedeur and Travis down because Travis wasn't catching the ball. They was looking at the little iPad, something Shedeur does every day after practice. It seemed good to me. It seemed good to me, but they feel like they need to break him. They feel like they need to break him as an individual. They don't want to win with him because he's black, and they would have to break him first. Maybe he need a white girlfriend. Maybe if he get a white girlfriend, they gonna be okay. Y'all think I'm playing? I'm not. You think it will be a problem? It's not, because I can control you through her. Did anybody remember one of the first outings they had on the property as rookies? A white young lady came out the building and put in front of Shedeur something to eat, some gummy bears, and asked him, how's your intuition? This is a game to see how your intuition is. Then they did that little puppeteer thing. You see it yet? You don't see it yet? Okay. So maybe if you get a white girlfriend and he turns against his community and stops doing community service, caring about the kids, F them people, maybe if he become Barry, Jay Norvell, then maybe. But see, right now, he got his hair in stitch braids. He loves his community. I can't kick him because I can't do to him what I did to Deshaun Watson. I can't hold him back. I can't control him. He's not Andrew Berry. He likes black women. His father's Coach Prime. He gonna know if we do something to him. And something they didn't factor in. He has 3 million fans and followers. So I'm gonna need to get you out of here because you're gonna expose everything that's going on around here. Facts. Another reason they gonna trade him. Yes, they were gonna use him for draft capital. Yes, they was gonna make him sit there and be humiliated. Because trust me, when Y'all Stupid came out and the prank came out, they had to figure out what to do. Then they came up with a solution. He wasn't available. Have Barry trade up and get him. But that did not come from Barry. He was told what to do. So he's lying. He's not saving him from anything because he's kicking on him. He's part of making him uncomfortable. At one point, I was wondering if Stefanski was making him comfortable, but he did a total 360. When Stefanski came out and said good things about Shedeur, raised by a great dad, then he had to go right back before that on Demon Time. He was one way, flipped, was nice, then he went right back to it. They have their marching orders, just like they got him in the draft. And the owner made the decisions just like he made them in the draft or pre-draft. I would sell my left leg to have the football knowledge that flew around the Sanders household on an average Tuesday. Yeah, because I can't imagine. The Browns are letting their media do the same. Yeah, exactly. The Browns are letting the media beat up on Shedeur because that's what they want. See, the team itself can only do things that people can't see. That's not going to get out because they have the trust of everybody around them. Remember the loyalty clause in the contract? Remember that? So, we could all but hang you up out here with a noose and ain't nobody going to say nothing but maybe Myles Garrett because they got the rest of them right where they want them. A player's wife had to come out and say Shedeur was a hero after Garden Valley. Not the player, his wife. It's like a cult. So yeah, the Browns are letting the media beat up on Shedeur on their behalf. What I don't understand is why would Schumer compare Shedeur to Daniel Jones? Again, uh, we have a new offensive analyst, and I think Burt Bordelon, I could be wrong, is now an offensive something coordinator. Maybe it was offensive tackle coordinator. That don't make sense. Offensive talent coordinator. That don't make sense. It sounds like we got two new people with offensive in their title. One is an analyst that Schumer started out to be, and one is a coordinator with something in the middle with offensive first, which is similar to Pat Schumer. Pat Schumer comparing Shedeur to Daniel Jones is obscene. Because that's not even, I don't even know how you come up with that. I don't know. But considering the way they're treating Shedeur in Cleveland, and Barry said, yeah, we listen to the people that's been around them. The players love him. You got to listen to Barry when he talks. We interview the people that's been around the player for 2 to 3 years. The players love him. He didn't say shit about the coaches. I think somebody sold him up the river, and he in Cleveland, and they treating him like that because they've been talking. That might be why all these new titles with offensive coordinator are splashing about. I ain't 100% certain. But I promise you, when I was watching Well-Off Media videos, I was looking at Pat Schumer's face and body language. One point, he looked sullen, sitting in the seats in the theater where they have meetings, and out on the field, he seemed okay. Maybe he could turn it on and off, but something ain't right. If they are interested in you, they talk to all your past and present coaches, sometimes all the way back to middle school. If you listen to Barry talk, he said, yes, we talk to people that's been knowing the person for 2 to 3 years. The players love him. That's what he said. Pat Schumer has a professional relationship. He was essentially the guide or advisor for Stefanski. And he didn't say the coaches loved him too. Some got back to Coach Prime. I'm going to just go with that. The NFL made Cleveland get Shedeur because he is Cleveland's punishment for giving Deshaun. Nope. Deshaun Watson's contract is the same as Shedeur being devalued in the draft. Collusion. Andrew Berry did not have the power to supersede 32 NFL owners that fought Lamar Jackson tooth and nail on guaranteed contracts that was willing to go to the max. Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. No. Andrew Berry does not have that kind of authority. If you would have said another player other than Deshaun Watson, Andrew Berry would have been fired. But considering Deshaun Watson, people thought he was going to end up on the exempt list for the commissioner, meaning kicked out the league, and he didn't. He got all of his money back? No. Here's what people believe about Deshaun Watson. I'm going to just put it out here for you. I'm going to say this very carefully. It is believed wholeheartedly. I think I posted this on X. It is believed wholeheartedly by people familiar with the situation in Texas that Deshaun Watson was not the only Texans employee, the only known Texans employee embroiled in the masseuse activities. See, it wasn't always a scandal. It didn't become a scandal until Deshaun Watson asked for a trade. Justin Tucker told you that.